Hello, my name is Paul Franzon, and I'm going to share with you how I set up a class using Moodle. Moodle has a lot of features. This is a little unfortunate because working out which of those features you want to use, which of those features are best to use, what is the best way to set things up, can get somewhat daunting. So what I'm going to share with you here is how I set it up for this class, which is, in this particular instance, a class run over a summer 2013. What you see here is the basic Moodle interface as set up by the end of this class. And first thing I'm going to do, of course, go to the top right here and turn on editing. This allows you to edit things. Just give that a moment to load. You can see that Moodle is structured. You see these grey boxes here. These are called topics in Moodle. These are also listed on the left, and you can use that. You or the students can use this left-hand bar in order to navigate. Notice, of course, that when I turned editing on, a number of features appeared. These pencils for editing things and so on that weren't here before. Of course, one thing you're going to have to do is add topics to Moodle. And I will point out at the bottom of this page, this plus here, which allows you to increase the number of sections that appear on the page. So the way I've set this up, and I do want to emphasize at this point that just because I've chosen a particular way to set something up doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. It's just giving you a starting point if you so choose to emulate it. With this, I put this general section up front here, which included general announcements to the class syllabus, a general class forum for discussions on things that aren't related to a particular topic, and a class schedule. Yes, there is a calendar on the right here, but it just tends to focus on what are the events that are coming up soon, so I found it useful to stick a class schedule up. I'm going to talk about that schedule more in a moment. Notice I can add activities or resources by clicking on this here. I next have a resources section, which included resources specific to this class, as well as the general remote computing access, where to get Blackboard Collaborate. I had an orientation section. In this there are two videos. One video is your normal introduction to the class, going through what we're going to cover and how you're going to be assessed and so on. I also gave an orientation to how this was set up in Moodle. Moodle is a complex user interface to the students, and thus I found it useful to try to simplify things for them to help them where to focus their attention in dealing with Moodle. I have a revision section, and then I get into the actual content. Let's look at one of these. Here's timing. So first thing you'll notice is these pencils here, of course, your basic editing to how to edit a section or a subsection. Here, for example, I give the section a name. I also give it a number. I found that was useful. And I had to put the number in here. And a brief description of what this section is about. Frankly, anything beneath that I didn't change. And there are options there. You can have things appear and disappear. I just prefer to leave everything open, and from interfacing with students, that's what they prefer as well. Just have everything up there and have it always open. I actually did a video of introductory remarks. Let me just play a bit of that. I use YouTube to upload my videos. I'll discuss that more in a moment. And in this, I basically just motivated the section and gave them a little bit about what to highlight on. This is the only time I had the talking head there. Every other video of content, I didn't have the talking head. I usually had a little bit of fun of these. Here I'm playing with this section's about timing, so I had a thing with a binary coded digital clock in order to have a little bit of fun on this. So what I did when I created the videos is, I notice when you click back, eventually you get back to where you were. So when I created the videos, I uploaded them to a private YouTube channel at NC State, and you don't have to use that. You can use other places. You can upload it to Wolfware Classic in the media section, and you can use and you can, there's somewhere else you can put as well. I've forgotten what it is. And I just put in the URL here as to where it's actually linked to. One thing that Delta requested is not to upload the videos to Moodle. The Moodle server doesn't have the capacity to serve a lot of video. So one thing that I request is you don't upload them to Moodle. Real Media is the thing I was trying to think about. You can also use an NC State Real Media site. Just clicking back here and waiting to get back to where I was. I then put in my notes. I use the contents delivered from PowerPoint, so I made PDFs of the PowerPoint files. I also have a teaching objectives page. A lot of faculty might not do this, and a summary of key points. In these sections, all you do is when you edit it, by clicking on the second pencil, just put in the name, whatever I chose to call this, and there's a site here where you can add files. You can use this add button, or you can just drag a file in here and it will appear. And I didn't change anything beneath this. The way I structured things is I had short 20-minute videos. Again, I upload on YouTube, but you can use Media Site or Classic Wolfware in the media sections. In these, I don't have the talking head. It's just the slides. Generally, I recorded these at 720p, but some of them weren't at 720p. Some of the early ones I did. This one doesn't look like it was. After each 20-minute video, some were shorter, some were longer, but I aimed to keep the videos to 20 minutes. That seems to work well for university students, though lower level students might prefer shorter videos of 10 minutes. I would have a quiz. I'm not going to talk about how to upload quiz questions or how to create the individual quizzes. Delta has some good training on that. I'm going to talk about how I set up the quiz. I have two types of quizzes. Let me go back to that. I had two types of quizzes. I had one quiz at the end of each video. Right, so here I have the first video, here I have the first quiz. The purpose of this quiz, to my mind, was simply to reinforce the video. It forces students to pay attention during the video, and because I know they have to go directly to a quiz. To me, it's not a testing thing, it's more just a reinforcement thing. I give a very small percentage of the grade towards these end of video module submodule quizzes. I have an additional quiz at the end of each substantive teaching module. This quiz to me was more for assessment. It's more like a mini test, and thus I set these quizzes up differently. So for the end of video quiz, I set this up as follows. Right, you have to give the quiz a name. I set it up so it's always open, never closed. I also set the maximum attempts at 3 and the grade at the highest grade. Then what I did is the review options. I wanted this quiz, the students could keep retaking it, at least up to 3 times, until they get basically 100%. I want most students to get 100% for these quizzes. So what I did is I gave them a lot of feedback. I gave them, after each attempt at the quiz, I gave them all the feedback except for what the right answer was. So the idea is eventually they would they would actually go to the right answer, and they would know that because of the feedback they got. And this seemed to work. I had few complaints or confusions about this, and all the stuff down below I didn't change. One possibility here, which I could do, is set a close date for the quiz. Then this would appear, which includes the right answer. But the idea was they'd eventually iterate the right answer themselves, because they get 100% for the quiz. And my feedback would basically tell them that they had the wrong answers. In these quizzes, I should point out, I gave a lot of feedback, and the students liked this. Know that if they select something, they'll get feedback all the time, including whether the answer is right or not, and some commentary on why it is wrong, or some general feedback. You can't go to edit question, and hopefully I've actually done that for this one. You can sometimes I put just general feedback in this general feedback box. Other times I would have feedback for, in fact quite often I'd have feedback for each individual choice, which basically also tells them either directly or indirectly why this answer is right or wrong. Right. And the students really like that. I found fairly early on that they wanted more feedback, not less. The end of module quiz was set up a little bit differently. And I told students about this, and I discuss it in the training video on how to use my class. But this is set up differently. This is more of a testing exercise to me. That's how I chose to set this up, than just purely learning reinforcement. I gave more grade to this. These quizzes closed. I had to click on Enable here to close the quiz and specify the date and time. One thing I did in this class, I made everything due on the same day at the same time. In this case, I think it was every Wednesday at 5 minutes to midnight. So the students had in their mind when things were due. I chose the middle of the week so they'd get the weekend to work on if they wanted to, and had a little bit of time during the week to iterate on if they felt the need. Right. So that was important, particularly given the complexity of the Moodle interface. Again, I allowed 3 attempts, but the use of them was a little bit different. Here, I did not give any feedback on the intermediate attempts. They only got feedback, including the correct answer, after the quiz closed. Again, the idea is it's more like a test, an asynchronous test. They can take it any time. They can change their answer up to 2 times, but they don't know whether their answer is correct or not, and why it's not correct or not, until the quiz closes Wednesday at 5 minutes to midnight, New York time. This is an online class. The number of online students in this class, so I used New York time to tell them when things were happening. Everything else beneath this I didn't change. I didn't see much need to set all that stuff up. I also, this particular module, this timing module, doesn't have a homework, but also had a number of modules with homeworks. Here, for example, is homework 3. Here's some material related to that. Again, click on the second pencil here. This first pencil here just edits the title. Second pencil edits the content. Obviously, these buttons move things around. The turn-in for this, again, I had a very regular schedule. It was Wednesdays at 5 minutes to midnight. I think I let everything down here at the default settings, so I didn't have to change any of that. you can upload the solutions as well and leave them there. And what you do is just click on the eye here to hide the solution until you choose to expose it. The other thing I would have in each module is a technical forum, a forum for that module, which they can discuss things on. I'm pretty sure I just use the defaults for Moodle for that. You need a description in here. It's very simple, and everything else I just left as the default. I must admit, I wish I had considered using Piazza rather than the Moodle forum tool. In which case, all I'd have to do is put in a web link. I'd add activity or resource and just put in a web link to the Piazza forum page. I also had a feedback set up as a quiz. This is to collect feedback on each module from the students. I must admit, this is not anonymous, of course, but it was useful to get feedback while they were doing the module and how to improve it in the future, if I so choose. I just set this up as an open quiz with one attempt. As I'm teaching the class, there were small errors that detected that I felt needed to be corrected. Rather than correcting a video that I'd previously done, which is fairly time-consuming to do, I would just simply have an errata page for each subsection. So, for example, here I actually referred to a video, time 140 in the video. I correct whatever was on the video. So that's how I set up this Moodle page. You can see I've got a lot of stuff here. Let me talk about the calendar. This is fairly simple. The calendar just auto-populates from your deadlines that you set up in the structures here. So that's fairly simple. This class is finished, so there's no upcoming events. Latest news is like basically things on the forums. What I did on the forums was I subscribed to all the forums. So when you set up, oh, that's not a good example. When you set up a forum, you can set it up so that. Sorry, I clicked to the forum. When you set a forum, here I used to click on the pencil. You can set it up so that you are subscribed to the forum, and this is embarrassing, I don't remember where that was. Subscription mode. I made it optional to the students. I didn't force them to subscribe. I encouraged them to subscribe. I could have done that, but I left that optional. But I subscribed to all the forums, so I would get an email whenever a forum had changed. Possibly I'm already subscribed to this one, which is why you might not be able to see me do it. Let me do a later one. Revision technical forum. It's embarrassing. I can't remember how you subscribe to forums. It's a long time ago that I did this. Maybe it's on the there. Anyway, however you do it, I subscribe to all the forums. Sorry about that. As I said, on the left hand side here, which you can edit, I never did, it does list all the topics. It does list the activities. This is a shortcut to the forums, the quizzes, and other things. I generally didn't play with this much. You can import to Moodle. You should also make a backup of your course at the end of the semester. This is the grade sheet, which is somewhat fairly easy. It auto-populates as things complete. Working out final grades on it is a little bit cumbersome, and I won't talk about that here. And here's a list of participants. You can add participants through here, and you can also change your role to a student. I never found that particularly useful. I generally left my role as an instructor. Okay, so that's an introduction to Moodle, and at least how I set it up for my own use during the semester. I hope that was useful to you. Thanks for your attention.